There we go. Um, so yeah, I think that kind of showed everyone how complicated this whole procurement landscape is. Lots of really great tips in there on how to kind of get through it, but also lots of challenges. And you could see there the procurement life cycle, different procurement routes, all the different frameworks that are available, different stakeholders, and you just see how big and complex this process is. And kind of one of the challenges and kind of problems that we had as an early stage business when we were going through this is having the resources to do all of that, to dive in, to understand what the new procurement regulations are, to understand all these different frameworks, to apply for them, to build all these relationships and stakeholder maps with all these different entities makes it really, really complicated. So I'm going to give you an overview of how I think you should be doing this as a startup that probably doesn't have the resources of a huge organization to do all of that as well as it should be done, but effective enough to start growing. So just an overview. My name is Gonzalo Marquesini. I am the founder of RenKap, which is a site survey marketplace. Essentially, what that is we streamline all the early stage technical surveys that need to get done on development. So everything from ecology, utilities, topos, trees, contamination, asbestos, flood risk, whatever it is, we have a marketplace of loads of surveyors and support clients to manage that process, get quotes, instruct surveyors, get all the data, de-risk sites, and unlock land at scale. Little background on myself. I used to work for Arcadis previously, large property consultancy. I became the youngest fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. I got very, very pissed off with the housing crisis and decided to start RenKap to help unlock land and support public sector to unlock and bring forward more homes at scale. So this presentation, I'm going to quickly cover an overview of RenKap very quickly, and then we'll dive into kind of my tips on how to navigate the procurement landscape. Please, question-wise, add them to the chat and we can discuss them at the end. So how does RenKap work? There's three different parts to it. Part one is all about tendering and procuring all those surveys. So you can upload a site and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to upload a site on our platform. Instantly get multiple quotes, all comparable from vetted surveyors for every single survey type instantly. Previously, it would take about six to 8 weeks to procure and instruct surveyors. With us, instant quotes, add them to the checkout, click a button. Within 10 minutes, you've instructed all your surveyors, so really helpful. Part two is then arranging all the site visit dates, approving the health and safety documents, and approving reports to get received on the platform. And then part three is all about reviewing all the reports and outcomes of those surveys and what you need to do next. What's the risk on the site? Do we need to stop? Do we need to progress and do more surveys? And what we do at this stage is we provide automated risk register, highlighting all the surveys which are green, good to go, and then have some risks in amber. You can click on those, see what the risks are, instruct the additional piece of work directly through the platform, and RenKap just takes a margin on anything instructed on the platform, and you can progress and even get constraints plans for all your work. Quick overview of the platform and what we're doing, and we're currently working with we partnered with the GLA. We've just finished a big project with Ministry of Housing. We work with loads of local authorities and housing associations, all in the public sector, and we also work with private sector clients. Getting into procurement, you will have to build your own playbook, and it really depends on your own offering and your solution, your customer types, and what you're building. It's not as easy as just copying what someone else has done, and I just wanted to highlight this before we dive into this. You will need to look at it and build your own playbook that works for your specific solution. The key challenges with kind of public sector selling, as most of you are probably aware, super long sales cycle, very, very slow, very hard to contact the right person. In Disha's presentation, she mentioned all the different stakeholders in the process and trying to find that champion and which one is it, which stage. That's really hard to find. And as well, public sector, a lot of these people are not on LinkedIn. So targeting them, finding them is a key challenge, and that's probably one of the hardest parts. Really tough to validate ideas. And the first two kind of relate to the third, which is because the sales cycles are so long, it takes really long to get into meetings and get feedback, really hard to find the right person. It's hard to learn quickly and adapt. So it really slows down the validation. And obviously, the faster you validate, the faster you prove your business, the faster it improves. So this is really hard to do in the public sector. And finally, procurement regulations, which we've just gone through. Disha's just explained, and we'll go into that now. How to overcome public sector challenges. I've got a few suggestions, and the first one is to diversify to private sector as much as possible. Selling only to the public sector is always a big risk, and I would advise against it if you can. If you can spread that risk, then a little bit of private sector, a little bit of public sector, then that's what we did. We kind of used our private sector clients to help us validate, improve the product, get the testimonials, whilst we were dealing with really slow public sector sales process, procurement process. And then eventually we were able to get those on board. And now it's kind of like a momentum thing. As soon as you start getting more and more local authorities, then it gets easier and easier. But relying solely on the public sector is a very tough way to build a business. So some businesses allow you to do that and some don't. Can it be done? Yes, it definitely can. Is it harder? Yes, it's a lot harder. So explore, see if you can diversify a little bit, stay alive whilst you're trying to break into public sector. Time in the market. This is a real illustration of me and my CTO. And it's honestly true. You need to stay in the market long enough for public sector to see what you've done in the past, see you at different conferences, see you on all the social medias and all your marketing stuff, and build that trust as much as possible. And it's all about building trust. On Disha's presentation, she was talking about kind of proof and case studies, and the more of that you have, the better. But also just being in the market. And I don't think there's a shortcut for that. I think you just need to stay in there as long as possible, and they start recognizing you. They hear about you from other sources, and all of a sudden they're much more engaged and active buyers. Getting on frameworks. So Disha's discussed that. You can see you've seen all the frameworks she's referred to. My advice would be pick one and focus on the one that's most relevant to your customer type and double down on it. Expand to the others later, but don't expand until you've started building your base, because otherwise it's just too much work. Just focus on one and grow from there. And IT certification. So this is stuff that you will need. Customers do ask for it. So ISO, Cyber Essential Plus, and others that need to be done. And getting that is really important. Become public sector friendly. So what I mean by that is make it easy for them to buy from you. And what I would do is create videos, guides, documentation, defining how to procure you through one of those frameworks, and sharing all the IT certifications that you do have. Something just to share here is these things are difficult to do. You won't do them all immediately. They take time. You do one after another after another. For example, IT certification is really expensive. So doing the right one at the right time, only when it's really demanded, is kind of a business decision you got to make of when you do each one. And also getting on the right frameworks, lots of effort there as well. So build this up. You don't need to think, oh, I need to get everything done in 1 year. It's more about growing and time in market. Whilst you're doing that time in market, you're growing all the rest of it. Is your offering terrible? This is a really good point, because a lot of people say, oh, public sector procurement is so hard, so hard. Sometimes your offering might just be terrible and you've not validated it. You don't have enough proof. The client doesn't think that it's good enough. And it's very easy to use procurement as an easy out. In the UK, everyone's very polite, and the client can just say to you, oh, sorry, we can't proceed because procurement, we got procurement things. It won't get through procurement, right? And then you think the problem is procurement, where in reality, it might give you false negatives. The problem might be your solution is not good enough. So validating it as much as possible. And that's why I said the private sector thing is validate, make it amazing. I've seen local authority customers move mountains to get procurement done because they want something. So the question is, do they want what you've got, yes or no? If it's a no, the procurement response might not be the real red flag. So something for you to think about. My suggestion is one, you need to really validate a proposition with existing social proof and bring that forward to them. That's kind of part one. If you don't have that, then the rest of this is just useless. Part two is then take procurement off the table. And I've kind of highlighted how you do that in the previous slide, which is get on the frameworks, get the IT certification, become public sector friendly, and then get all the guides, videos, documentation. So when someone says, we want to buy it, we're ready to proceed, you can just show them all your documents and help them buy easily rather than make it difficult. Just on this point, before I move on, one of the things that we've done to take procurement off the table, which has been really helpful. So we're on G Cloud. I think that one's brilliant because a lot of other frameworks that were in the sector, we didn't fit into boxes. This is something completely new and different, and G Cloud kind of met our needs for that. It's difficult to get on, but highly recommend it to put the effort into it. A lot of people just on G Cloud, a lot of people also think that once they're on it, they've succeeded. Great. Now you just wait for the money to come in. That's not at all how it works. You're on G Cloud. No one is looking for you. Just because you're on these frameworks, don't assume that people are going to be looking for you, because that's really not how it works. It's how we do it is we go out to market, we speak to customers, then with a validated proposition, they say, this is brilliant, we really want to use it. How do we get through procurement? Then you tell them, this is how you get through procurement. Here's some videos, here's some guides. And something extra that we do is if we're speaking to a client, I would show them this. Advice Cloud spend data. Advice Cloud is a really good consultancy for G Cloud. Highly recommend. We use them to get on there for the first time. They helped us. Go on here and you can search and find how much anyone has spent on G Cloud, so you can see if they've actually been using it. So for example, if I search 2025 and I search cloud software and I search one of our existing customers, so let's say London Borough of Lewisham, and I search, you can see there they've spent 1.4 million on procurement just last year. So if I'm in a meeting with talking about stakeholders, the users, that they typically, with a validated proposition, with us, they say, oh, this is great, we really want to use it, but oh, how are we going to get through procurement? We need to think about that. And I like to respond and show them that screen and say, we're on G Cloud. You're already using G Cloud. You've spent 1.5 million last year on G Cloud, just on software. So your procurement team are very aware of the framework. We're the only ones on the platform. You can direct award. You can have us live within 3 days. Here is our G Cloud call off contract. Just update the date, put in your figures and sign the contract. That is how you take it off the table. And that's really what you need to be trying to do. My ask to this was a bit of a guide for startups, but my guide to public sector buyers as well, because I think this is quite important from their perspective, is to appreciate that innovation comes from new business models, new ideas, and startups. Stop asking for Microsoft level credentials. So they need to realize that if they really want innovation and really want to massively improve some of the elements that they're currently doing, that comes with supporting new businesses that might not have all the credentials at this point in time, but the goal is to try and support them to get there whilst mitigating risks. But asking for loads of credentials and acting like a blocker is just not going to create any innovation. Make the buying process and time frame super clear so that the organizations know how to follow and know what you need from them. Give direct, honest feedback. So this can help companies iterate faster. Don't just blame procurement. If you think it's terrible, tell them what they need to fix and why it needs to be better, and they can come back with a better proposition later. And if you like it, publicize it, share it, word of mouth, push it out as much as possible and tell your friends. Right, that was a quick overview. I'm on 14 minutes out of my 15 now. Here is our QR code, so feel free to scan this if you want these presentations, and you can have all the access to all the slides.